Record on this. Takmit is meg kellett volna hívjam panelistnek, mert most ő mint sima. Hi, Takumi. Sorry. Hi, Takumi. Can you hear us?
Most tudtam küldeni a prezentációt. Tudsz megnézni, hogy megvan?
Yes, one sec.
Hello.
Hi, Takumi. How are you?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes,
fine.
we can hear you. Yes,
Yes.
Jukka, I have your presentation. Thank you.
Good. Hello, Takumi.
Hello. Are you in Lapland?
I wish.
You think there is already snow in Lapland? No.
Not yet, but it's quite cold here, even in Jyväskylä.
Because at night we had some snow in the high mountains.
Okay. Yeah. Today we have in the morning we have -2 degrees.
A lot.
So
I mean a few.
the snow will come soon.
Good. Okay. So Takumi, you have the agenda, do you?
Agenda.
You have
Yes,
the agenda of the meeting. Hi, Szabolcs.
Hello,
Yeah,
everybody.
Hello, Szabolcs. Nice to meet you. Takumi,
Nice to
meet
meet.
Szabolcs, Frigy Szabolcs. Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Nice
He's
to
the
meet you.
second on the agenda.
Mhm.
Jukka Sinnemäki is the first on the agenda.
So how can I pronounce your name? Frigy Szabolcs?
Oh, perfect. You are quite good speaking Hungarian language.
Köszönöm.
Okay.
Take
That's
care,
the only one
Szabolcs,
I don't
because
know.
everyone in Jyväskylä speaks Hungarian.
Nice.
Szabolcs, would you please try to share your presentation?
Of course, of course.
Thank you.
I work with extended monitors, and I quite curious that if
Everything is perfect. Try to go forward.
just a little bit.
Wonderful. Funny
Okay.
faces in your presentation.
Okay.
This webinar is going to be all fun, Takumi.
Yeah, must be.
You're the lucky one who can moderate. It's really funny.
Yes, yes, thank you very much. I'm very happy.
But I know it's so close to you because you have this good sense of humor. Okay, good.
Okay, may I stop screen sharing? Okay.
Please.
Jilla, are you sure that this my background?
I'm sure about your background, but I'm not sure about your internet connection because your voice was really interrupted 1 second ago.
Yeah, because now actually I'm at my friend's office and sometimes he has a bit problem with the internet connection, but that was pretty much the only place to make sure that no one disturbs me.
I see. Okay.
I checked twice if I paid the internet bill today that I have.
Good idea. We haven't checked it. Okay. We hope everything will go smooth. So Takumi, you have the agenda, right?
Yeah, I have agenda.
The one in the Zoom registration page, and also
Yeah.
the one on your web page is perfect. So I will, once I meet all the presenters shortly, I will turn off my camera, and I try to support you in all the ways from the background. Okay. I also have with me my colleague Rita Bot. You see her name, and Kati is here as well, or Kati is coming in short. And we try to. She's Rita, my colleague. We try to support you from the background, like you can ask us if you need help or something, and we also try to post different links and stuff like that are from the presentations. We also give chat instructions for the participants regarding translation issues. We will also tell participants. You can also tell participants that they should address us with Hi, Valtteri.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
How are you? Yes, perfectly. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Can you please try to share your presentation?
Of course, yeah. That's why I joined early, just to see that everything works as intended.
It does.
Just a second. So. Now I'm sharing. Can you see?
Try to go forward a few slides, please.
Yes.
Looks good. Yes, perfect,
yes. Perfect. Yes. Okay.
Now I stop your sharing.
Yes.
And then you should be ready for the game. Okay. Yes. Thank you so much. So we are still waiting for Arató, Ferenc to join, and Pasttita. I'm checking if they by mistake went to the attendees link, but no. So they should be coming soon. Yes. So Takumi, we will be supporting you from the background, and at the very end, after the Estonian presentation, so after Kadri Metis, you can give me the word, and then I turn on my camera and I invite people to the training course, to the MOOC, and then I give the word to Alpa, who will share the webinar evaluation link.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you have any other questions?
So should I mention about their questions and comments if they have? Yeah. I will ask them to use their Zoom not webinar function, or this is webinar
they can,
like a Q&A function. Yeah.
They can use the chat function and the question and answer function as well. According to our experience, people somehow feel it more comfortable to use the chat. So we will be checking the chat, and if we see very specific questions addressed to any of you, dear presenters, then we will forward that question to you, okay? Or we will resend the text directly to you. I'm sure you're familiar with the question and answer box. So if you open the question and answer box, you will see if there's any question addressed to you specifically.
Yeah.
Takumi, try to leave a few minutes after each presentation for questions, if there are any. If there are no questions, obviously we won't stand and wait silently.
Yes.
Do we have any time for questions kind of in the schedule? Like if I do a 20-minute presentation, do we need to move on directly?
With our previous 4 webinars, there were not so many questions. So we didn't allocate any specific time for it. But if one or two very specific questions show up that you think it's really relevant and you should answer it, we can always like let you answer it, or let any of the presenters answer a few questions. It's not a big deal if we are 2 minutes late with the agenda or something.
Great.
I think this is not the NASA, and not I tell my colleagues when we are very stressed with different webinars and things that this is not a heart operation. Okay, so hi Ferenc, how are you?
Hello everybody, I'm fine, thanks.
Szia, Isten hozott. Örvendünk, hogy itt vagy.
Sziasztok.
Good to see you.
Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Takumi. And also, can I check how to pronounce your name, Ferenc Arató?
That's perfect, Takumi. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, Jukka.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Long time no see.
Yes.
It means you've met already.
Yes. I have visited his class in Finland, and we were together in a couple of events. So, and I'm one of his fan in education.
Fans. Oh, he has such a big. Yes, he has. You know, it's a million members fan club. Good. Hi. Timi, Boro, hi, hello. Timi and Boro are here to help us. Boro will do Hungarian simultaneous translation, and Timi will turn it quickly to Romanian. So thanks for joining, ladies. If you feel more comfortable with cameras off, just feel free. Everyone feels better with cameras off, don't we? No, not necessarily. Yes, Boro, you have such a big history in presenting publicly and moderating conferences.
Yes.
Good, thank you for joining.
Hi to everyone. You're welcome.
Good.
Jilla, just checking that, was it 15 minutes the aiming time? What we're looking for maximum?
Sorry, once again.
Was it 15 minutes the time we are supposed to present?
Yes, we said 15-20. 15-20. Yes,
okay.
We can be
flexible. Is it you or Takumi who will interrupt if the line is getting bad or something and it's better to switch off the camera or things like that?
Takumi.
Okay.
Shall I? Takumi will be speaking all the time and will be with camera on, but I can also warn you in a message or something. I will have my voice turned off.
Okay, because I think that's the quickest to turn off the camera if the line is weak.
Now it's fine. Now it's fine. It was really interrupted for a couple of seconds a few minutes ago, but now it's fine.
Can I have a question?
Please.
You asked us to do our presentation in an interactive way, right? And I would like to use the chat function, but I need a person who will read together with me the chat and give me feedbacks what's in the chat, and who will be that person? It will be you, Jilla?
Yes.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
So what I can easily do, if I find something that is relevant or related to your question and you don't notice it, I can repost it to you. Right?
Okay. Yes, thank you. I will use the chat as an interactive tool. So I will ask questions. They could have answer me with one word or one number. So it will be easy. I would like to check the most popular answers. So that would be a very big help to me if you can check the most popular answers together with me. Okay.
Okay. And probably repost it then, so to send it again to the chat. What okay. I think was the most popular.
All right, that's good.
So I can write, I think the most popular answer.
Okay.
And
yes.
then I write it. Okay.
Good.
Would that be good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, see ya.
I didn't want to interrupt you in your discussions. Hello, everyone. I am Alpár Ferenc Salamon, and I'm the director of the Teacher Training Center, partner in this project. It's nice, really nice to see you. And I hope that we will have a nice webinar. So thanks for being here.
Okay, in the meantime, people started arriving attendees. We have 13 of them. You can eventually, until we are waiting for the webinar to start, you can post where you are from, if you want, to the chat. I mean the attendees. Okay, Takumi clearly wrote a message to me, yes, that maybe she and Kadri Metis, the presenter from Estonia, will be a bit late. So we can start the webinar on time and they will join.
Okay, yeah.
We don't have to wait for for Kadri. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would have a question. Am I logged in as a panelist or as an interpreter? Just to make sure that everything will be all right with the interpreting.
The same question goes here.
Yes, a very, very relevant question. Wait a second, ladies, because none of you, I logged you in as interpreters, but for some
reason. But we joined as panelists,
yes,
and we need to be able to switch language.
Yeah, I'll do that in a minute.
To English, I remain on the English channel, but then whenever I interpret from English to Hungarian, I will have to switch languages, and the same goes for Timmy.
Okay, wait a second.
Takumi, just a short question.
Maybe, sorry, I just want to message Timmy and Boru. I resent the interpreter link to both of you, and please get there.
Log out and log in again.
Log out and come again.
Okay.
I have resent to Boru, and now I resent to Timmy as well. Thank you. And
Thank
then when
you.
you're in, I check it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Jukka.
Sorry.
Jukka.
No,
You said
no problem.
something?
Takumi, will you shortly introduce us, or should we do it ourselves?
I will shortly introduce you. So
Okay,
yeah, I will. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
July was again assigned as panelist.
Okay.
Same here.
Okay, I add you manually. So you're doing English, Hungarian. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Timmy, now you should have your channel.
Don't see it yet, but seemingly nothing changed.
Boro, you have your channel? I'm really sorry, that's a program bug because we are doing exactly the same way as we did earlier. Okay, Jenny, you can fix it. Okay, Timmy, try to speak. Try to speak.
Hello, I'm here. Bună ziua, bine ați venit.
Okay. Good. Now try to speak now, Timmy. Okay, fine. Your channel is okay. Boro, try to say something, please. Your microphone is off.
Good afternoon, ladies and okay, let me. Anyone? Hello. Language interpretation. Can you hear me, Trilla? No? Yes?
Wait a sec.
Okay. The problem is that my buttons disappeared. I cannot switch languages any longer.
Wonderful.
My buttons disappeared too.
No, and only
Can you see now your buttons?
no.
Now?
Now, okay. Yes.
Now we can see it.
Fine. Okay, finally. Good. So I'm disappearing, Takumi. The floor is yours.
Yeah. And then Kadri also came. So yeah.
Oh, yes. And Pasttita is here as well. Hi, Pasttita. Nice to see you.
And also
Please turn on your. Yes, I can't see Kadri's yet.
Hi, hello everyone. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pasttita. Your microphone is wonderful. Thanks a lot. Would you like to try sharing your screen? Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Good. Takumi, I think now we can start.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Hello, can you hear me? Yes. So thank you for coming to our free ed webinar. We have webinar series. This time the topic of this webinar is well-being of teachers, cooperation among teachers, and taking risks, innovating practices. So thank you very much for joining this webinar. Today we have 6 presenters from all over the world. So we have limited time. So let's start the first presenter. The first presenter is Jukka Sinnemäki. He is a teacher at the Christian School of Jyväskylä in Finland. So Jukka, floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Good. So with my short presentation, I would like to address that what really matters in the end of the day, so to speak, when we speak about well-being of learners and teachers. And as I say here in my topic, that regardless of the local and social conditions. So I believe that there is few fundamental things, no matter which culture or religion or background you come from, these are the same important pillars. So let's go on. I actually made a little research.
Jukka, can you presentation is now just not presentation mode. So
is it better now?
Yes, now okay.
Okay, thank you. So we also had a lockdown in Finland, not that long, but it was interesting to actually talk a lot with the children afterwards and hear what did they think. What did they think to be away from the school for 2 months? And the findings were that actually there was only few students in the achievement point of view from the school achievements who actually benefited to be home alone and studying online. And that really highlighted to me the importance to be engaged, to be in relationship with the peer groups, to be in the school environment, mainly if this environment is healthy, it's safe. So this is something I would like to mainly address in my talk. I have shown this iceberg many times, but as I have been for years doing a research and observing children's lifestyle, it has showed to me that how important it's actually to see the unseen and understand a lot of development, social development, which are not maybe not much seen and valued in the school environment because they are not part of the assessments. And also here, the relationship plays a huge role, and also the experiences to understand that every one of us, we carry our history, whether it's in what happened in a short time or it comes back from 5, 10 to 20 years or even more. And this is all part of us. And through these experiences, actually World Health Organization has written something like this, that the goal of well-being is a state where one can see his or her own abilities and cope with life's challenges and work and participate in their community. And this tells me when they participate that you are with someone. And we all know this a game or play with the two words, the difference between alone and lonely. And the research very clearly shows that being lonely does very bad for us. To be amongst others, we can reflect, we can become actually who we are, building our character, and identity happens amongst others, being in a relationship. Also, a big lesson for me after working years with children has been that we must stop before the children, before we start our own agenda, before we start to teach, before we come with our own goals and task what we plan to do. We must connect. As I often say, that the connection must come before content. And I have seen in my work that I really should understand much more about my students' health, and also about my health, about my choices, and what are the consequences by the choices I make in a daily basis. And this image of an iceberg is a reflection what we see from the other people, and actually even more what we don't see. And I often want to remind myself, and actually now all of us, how much information is hindering, which is not seen with our natural eyes. I have sometimes shared this little story. Actually, it was a research. I would like to do it also now. Bronnie Ware was an Australian nurse who wrote a book called The Top 5 Regrets of Dying. And the foundings were that she, in this research, they found out that thinking clarifies in an amazing way just a little before we die. And I started to think that if I'm working with the children, and if I think clearly just before I die, how wrong I do things and how much I miss important things. And so then I started to kind of study that, what are those things? What are those unseen things, which is seen here on the slide, that which areas educators should influence. And that was actually one point when I basically left the traditional teaching and started to focus much more about my own health and my students' health. And I want to challenge all of us to stop often enough to think which areas in our life needs clarity. Do we stop often enough? Because we know there is so much stimulation input coming, which means that our brain never stops, and we do need that to be able to develop, to grow, and to understand actually who we are and what's the clarity in our lives. I think now I'm mainly talking to myself, that because in this iceberg we often just see the 10% of what is seen, the actions and the reaction of the students, and we easily make wrong decisions by what we see, by the appearance of behavior of someone. Quick example, it's a Monday morning and children enter to the classroom. Someone comes late, angry, tired, haven't done their homeworks, you name it. What will be your reaction? Your judgment is based on something. What is it? And is it fair? In this communication, are you building or are you breaking? What are you seeing, or more importantly, what you are not seeing? Is that child really responsible for his or her behavior, or capable of doing any better in this moment? And that's why I see the importance when we are building a relationship. What's the encounter between other people? You will be remembered how you treat your students, how you treat other people. Will you consider to see and understand the unseen? What difference it would make? I believe that the starting point for all of this is safe and healthy environment. Within a safe environment, children dare to show their feelings and emotions. Not only children, I think all of us. If there is no fear presence, we can be more who we want to be. We can show our potential. I think too often the conversation about well-being begins when the child or anybody is already unwell. Valuing and respecting other people creates a strong foundation upon which to build the trust essential for their growth. That respect should not be relative to their achievements. And I think this is, as an educator and teacher, is one of the hardest things, that how I can value the child and show the human dignity as being just a human being without any achievements. Because so often we know that the child's response has to do something, what they have done, how they have succeeded. And I think this is a great challenge for all of us, being a mother or father or parent or teacher or whoever, that how can we respect equally other human beings. Mattila, I quote Mattila, and she has said it like this: the very meaning of the existence of the child is the child itself. A human being whose life starts in childhood, the child always possesses intrinsic value. In other words, the child is valuable as in himself, herself, not as a means to someone else's happiness. And the reason for me speaking so much about well-being stems from its substantial connection to learning. Well-being gives strength to endure difficulties and hardships. The World Health Organization states the following concerning the theme of promoting well-being in schools. Ideally, the school should be a place where the whole function of the school promotes physical, social, and emotional well-being. With these needs realized, the pupils have an opportunity to benefit from education. Being years with children, I found it out that I have to do something what would really benefit. And I became with the idea to write and develop a book called a Me Book, to learn better who we are and the meaning of relationship. And I will just go this quickly. I know there's only a couple minutes of time left. So we made a book. It wasn't a workbook. It was book from me to me, a kind of reflection to give opportunity to having these pauses or stop to kind of reflect what is going on in my life. Am I in control in my life? What should I know about myself? Is it relevant? And then understanding much more deeply the uniqueness of me, that we all have this human dignity and what it really means. Is that something we have to achieve or not? And that became a big part of any of the studies in school. How do I relate with others? As I said, that in relationship we grow. And that's absolutely necessary for us. Which are the things I can influence and which I cannot? Finishing up, maybe some of you have heard this Harvard study of an adult development. It's probably the longest study about human relationships, started in 1939. What really matters the most? What keeps us healthy, happy? What is the undisputed and brightest results of this research? Can relationships really keep us happier and healthier? The findings were that what it is not, and it was nothing about your fame or richness or number of friends or cars or anything like that. What really matters most? What keeps us healthy and happy? It was really highlighted that the quality of close human relationships. And even the studies found that it's not only good for us, it only doesn't promote well-being and health, it's good for our brain. So as this Warren found it, that just before we die, our mind thinking gets clarity. And I hope that my message through this short presentation highlighted the importance of good relationship, long-lasting relationship, being with others, spending time with others, stopping often enough to understanding the importance of life and importance of myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jukka. Yeah, it's very important for the well-being for teachers and also students. And then I have to say sorry about the quite confusing and then being late of the starting of this seminar webinar. And I forgot mention about several things. The first thing is that I'm the today's chair, Takumi Yada. I'm a postdoc researcher in the Finnish Institute for Education Research in Finland. And then second thing is that if you have any comments or questions, please leave your question, use the Q&A function, or you can use the chat function. Okay, so let's move on to the next presenter. Next presenter is Frigy Szabolcs. He is a school counselor and associate lecturer in Babes-Bolyai University in Romania. He will present about the teachers' well-being in Romania. Yeah, Szabolcs, now floor is yours.
Okay, you can see me, you can hear me, everything is fine. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Welcome everyone, and thank you for inviting me to this webinar. And I'm very excited to be here with you and be part of this great project. I would like to start by introducing myself, and I have put some logos here. You can see that I put some logos to illustrate my professional background, my perspective and position on the topic of the teacher well-being. I currently work as a school counselor in Ham János High School from Romania. And we have groups and classes from kindergarten all to the high school. In addition, I work in a teacher training center, a teacher faculty, like as you said, associate professor in the Babes-Bolyai University. I thought it was important to highlight this to give you a perception that I don't just read about the teachers. I don't just read about problems in books, but I work them every day. The title of my today presentation is Well-being of Teachers in Romania. That was what the organizers asked for. But I added a smaller but important subtitle in addition to big title, because I feel that the well-being of teacher is unfairly neglected, and at least here in Romania, we don't speak enough about well-being teacher. The fact that I can talk about it here today will help to get this topic into the social discourse. I hope that, or less, I hope I can do this. This presentation will have two parts. In the first part, I would like to clarify some theoretical concept of well-being, what mean by it, and especially what dimension it has, what factors and indicators can be used. And the second part of the presentation, I have provided some numbers and statistics on the teacher well-being in Romania. I bring some international data also. Okay, let's do it. I wanted to get a feel of the workflow, so I watched all the presentation of the project on the YouTube channel. And they were excellent ideas and a great presentation with many, many good practices. It's great to be part of such a great team. I very often hear the opinion that the pandemic was swept schools into the future through this online education. But in my opinion, this is a very big mistake. What happened during this pandemic era, in my reading, is that the internet was finally introduced into the school system like utility, like water or electricity, and it's take a natural character. Using internet in our classes, there is no magic in anymore. Please imagine that I'm the system and I have to hold two things in my two hands at the same time. The forced and rapid change during the pandemic was stressful for teachers. I call this problem of two hands. On the one hand, change management is very important in the crisis situation. It was absolutely necessary to give teachers new tools to cope with new challenges. On the other hand, change takes you out of your comfort zone, which has a negative impact on well-being. One colleague put the problem, I think, brilliantly. She said, we're working twice as hard with half of efficiency. This feeling leads very quickly to burnout and later to leaving the profession. And I keep asking myself, what has the system done? What is doing in nowadays for the well-being of teachers? With this brief introduction, I would like to move on the real presentation. To help us think together, I have come up with a very simple but understandable definition. There are clearly more specific ones, but I bring this one. Well-being is the experience of health, happiness, and prosperity. It includes having good mental health, high life satisfaction, and a sense of meaning or purpose, and the ability to manage stress. If you have good mental health, you have high life satisfaction, you have a purpose, you are just fine, and I'm happy for you. But not everybody is the same situation. Science, this was quite a general definition. I will zoom it a bit to bring it closer to world of work. Well-being is this context has three components: earnings, labor market security, and quality of working environment. I would place all three factors in a Romanian context. Romanian teachers are behind in terms of income in all international comparisons. This is also much reported here, unfortunately. It's mostly dominating this social discourse. We have huge differences between rural and urban schools. You can see this picture. This is my school, the center of the city in Satu Mare, Romania. And from Satu Mare, almost 20 kilometers, there is another school and a village in Romania. That it's huge differences. The only place I could put a positive sign, you can see it, the labor market security. Because I could put a positive sign in is the stability of the teaching profession, because we work in a very centralized system based on a strong French model. Where you can stay in the teaching jobs until you have reached retirement age. And this is not always good for students, but we have to admit that this one of the reasons of why people become teachers in Romania. And if I had to present just one slide to you, this would be it. I must admit that I worked almost a day for it. If the concept of teacher well-being is a big box for you, this slide will try to unpack and show you some of its components. Not all of it, but some of. This box has two sides. You can see it. This is the size of the box, for example. if a teacher wants to feel good, he or she has to achieve in this quiz of two factors. On the one hand, the characteristics and features of the school he or she works in, and the other hand, the teacher's personality. These two must be in harmony, I think. I get to the bottom of the box, I would highlight 4 factors. 1, the cognitive factor, and within this is the sense of self-efficacy. This is being discussed more and more because it is clear that you have to believe in your own abilities. Second one is also a subjective component, of which I would highlight one thing. You have to believe that what you are doing makes sense. Without this belief, I don't think a teacher can feel good about himself. Your psychical and mental state obviously affects your well-being. Being a teacher in Romania is a stressful profession. Young colleagues get burned out very quickly after extended stress, or they start to suffer from psychosomatic symptoms. But this one, being a teacher, is only possible in a community. That's why it's a crucial what the community is like, what the relationship with your colleagues like. Does it take you energy or does it help you well-being? And if I take this aspect into account, there is 2 possible endings of the story. You can see it. It could be a negative story. The teachers burns out and leave the profession. Or it could be a positive one when he can teach successfully and he himself is defined to well-being of students. Okay. Teachers' well-being is not just a problem in Romania. 60 to 70% of teachers in Europe suffer from persistent stress. 30% are already showing signs of burnout. So I think there is a systematic problem here. This graph shows that in general, we have a problem with our mental well-being in Romania. As you can see it, we are here. In addition, I think teachers are even worse off. Next to the diagram, you can read what the mental well-being index is. You can test it yourself, and if there is a lot of no, you maybe you have problem with your mental health. But this is the indicators. You can see that we are, I think, the 6th behind the list. You know, we have here in Romania, we have a great agency. We call Romanian Agency for Quality Assurance in Pre-University Education, who are from Romania, we call Arató. It's a great institution for us. It used a total 109 indicators, looking at everything from school facilities to student and parent perception, teachers, portfolios, everything. But I don't know why, maybe for lack of space, there is not a single indicator for teachers' well-being. I think that's sad. It is disappointing that the system itself is not curious or not interested in the welfare of teachers. If the school is a complex system, that I can certainly see a place for at least one indicator of teachers' well-being in this evaluation. If I brought you a snapshot from our situation, it's a very fresh research that I bring you today. You can see it. I started here. 80% of teachers say their work has no positive effect on their mental health or well-being. 68% of the teachers say don't appeal to anyone when they feel stressed or worried at work. 25 35% of teachers say feels alone at work. Where is community? I would like to highlight just one more of the results. Only 32% in total feel a sense of prosperity. And now please think back of the definition at the beginning of the presentation, that prosperity is a fundamental part of well-being. That these numbers say a lot about the system and the institutional culture in which teachers are working. And of course, you can generalize to all schools, but the numbers are shocking, I think. I brought some soft characteristics of our system. That the numbers is the hard part, and I bring you some soft characteristics. Communication about teachers and the education system is dominated by the problem of money and salary. We can only talk about this. Beside these hard problems like money, there are no room for soft issues like well-being or burnout. We don't talk about the problem or ask for help. And I think is a legacy of communism. We always said that everyone is fine, schools are fine, there are no problems. And what the administration is trying to suggest, that's everything is okay. No part of the organizational culture or supporting each other. We have no such a culture. We have no perception of each other's work in the classroom. Mostly we work alone. There is no tradition for teamwork here in Romania, no opportunity for positive feedback from our colleagues. That I think I have to change it because it's very important. And if I want to go forward, I bring some other things. I have to mention one macro level problem. We don't have teacher well-being strategy in schools in Romania. I don't know what is your situation in your country, but here in Romania, we don't have. I know that UK, they have it. I don't know every country in UA, but here in Romania, we don't have. There are some cardinal questions, I think. Where is the primary prevention? Who and how can you tell when a teacher is drifting into the burnouts? Where is the alarm system? If they detect it, what option do they have to intervention? Is there a possibility of being paid vacation after a burnout diagnosis? Because I have a friend in Germany, and in no day he spent a lot of weeks recovering from this burnout situation, and he has a paid vacation. Here in Romania, we don't have this possibility. Or, and this is very sad, or I'm being a burnout teacher and stay in a classroom, burn out, and teach for another 40 years, for example. Why is this an untold story? We don't talk about our well-being in our working community. I feel that stakeholders are not interested in teachers' well-being. Maybe the public perception in my country is that teachers can be unwell because they have 3 months of vacation. That I often heard this. The mental well-being of teacher is not a subject in the mass media. And let me end with an Eastern Europe anecdote. One young teacher meet another old teacher, and the old teacher said, "Son, here in school we have 2 roads for a beginner teacher. One being an alcoholist, The other one is impossible, that you have to choose. And this is so typical Eastern Europe story. I think this says a lot about the welfare of teacher here in Romania. I believe that it also our responsibility as we are here today to carry the message and speak this untold story loud and clear. Thank you for listening and thank you for attention.
Thank you very much, Szabolcs. Yeah, I understand it's important to think about the well-being of teachers in terms of many aspects, like individual aspect and also other organizational aspect as well. And also communication issue nowadays is very high topic, especially for the multidisciplinary learning. So next presenter will talk about the STEAM education. So it might be related to the things. Okay, so let's move on to the next presentation. Next presenter is Pasttita Ayu Laksmiwati. She's a currently PhD researcher at Johannes Kepler University in Linz, Austria. She will present the STEAM lessons in hybrid situations. So, Pasttita, floor is now yours.
Thank you very much, Takumi. So I'll have around 20 minutes, right? Okay.
Yes, 20 minutes, yeah, please.
Yeah. Allow me share my screen. So here we go. Can you see my screen? I hope it works.
Yes. So yeah, great.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. Yeah, again, actually Takumi has already introduced my name, but yeah, I'm Pasttita. You can call me Tita. And as you can see, and also mentioned by Takumi, I'm a PhD student from Johannes Kepler University, Linz, Austria. My home country is Indonesia, by the way, but I live in Austria here in Linz. And here in these sessions, I'd like to share part of our research activities at JKU, Austria. And first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for this opportunity. And I'm really happy to meet you all here, even just virtually. And let's move on to this part. Yeah. For these sessions, for my presentations, I'll present these 4 main points. I'll underline cooperation and collaborations, and also multidisciplinary learning. If previous presenters focus on well-being, so collaborations, cooperations, and also multidisciplinary learning will be my focus in these presentations. And first, I'll share a brief overview of our work related to STEAM and hybrid learning. Afterward, in short, I'll try to introduce what STEAM is and why it is important, and then we will I'll move to the discussion about what steps are needed for you or for teachers to implement STEAM in hybrid classroom. And last but not least, I'd like to also share with you how our work helps teachers in implementing STEAM lessons. And let's start with the following information. So as your informations, I've been working on integrated science, technology, engineering, and mathematics since 2017, with more than 10 projects have been done so far with my colleagues in Indonesia, with more than 500 teachers participating. And based on those experience, I mean, my previous working activities, I tried to conduct a survey. So I conducted a survey which is participated by 114 teachers from Indonesia. They stated that there are 6 main challenges found And let's take a look at the most common challenge faced by teachers. First, I found that there are around 30% or 33% teachers say that there is a lack of time in preparing and implementing STEAM, continuing by a lack of teachers' understanding and skills, and followed by students' performance and collaboration among teachers. And those most common issues are related to classroom management and how to develop the STEAM lesson itself. And based on the current situation, we tried, especially with my research group at JKU, we tried not to solve the problem or propose the best solutions, because from my point of view, it seems impossible to find the best solution. But we try to give a contribution to at least tackle the issues that are faced by teachers. So we decided to support teacher skills in developing STEAM lessons by bringing flexibility during the implementations. Therefore, teachers have, not only students, but also teachers have choices to implement the lesson, whether it will be implemented as face-to-face learning or online learning, or both with hybrid learning scenarios. And another interesting idea is that by utilizing GeoGebra as especially to support hybrid learning, for instance, GeoGebra itself has a GeoGebra classroom feature that can be utilized to encourage students' engagement, as teachers can make live observations of their students or students' work or students' activities. So that's our research activities or focuses that will be related to STEAM and hybrid scenarios. And let's continue, move on to what is STEAM and why it is important. And let's start with the following conceptual model of STEAM developed by Quigley. I love this model, by the way, so I frequently refer to this model. So in our point of view, STEAM is educational innovations that is integrated learning, incorporating science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So based on the model developed by Quigley, we can learn that STEAM in the learning context has to consider those three aspects. First, STEAM has to focus on students' problem-solving skills, including cognitive skills, interaction, and creative skills. Second, discipline integrations, which is related to the integrations of multiple contents areas and connected ideas among STEAM disciplines, as there are 5 disciplines in STEAM, right? Science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. And third, related to the classroom environment, and this is really interesting. The classroom environments is related to problem-based activities with multiple methods and series of student choices, with utilizing technology in STEAM lesson and considering teachers as facilitator to facilitate students in the lesson. So that's STEAM and why it is important. And let's move on to what steps are needed to implement STEAM in hybrid classroom, in hybrid scenarios. I guess you have also these questions comes up in your mind. So let's continue to the next slide. From our prior working experiences, we found that teachers should be encouraged and professionally develop to focus on lesson principle and lesson cycles to create problem-solving activities for effective STEAM lessons involving hybrid learning scenarios in order to bring flexibility to mathematics learning. Therefore, we propose the following important dimensions. Let's take a look at the first one. We have engineering design process. So the first dimensions, the engineering design process, captures the way in which teachers promote students' research on trial and error activities. And for the second dimensions, learning context, the dimension expresses problem-solving activities and open-ended problems, promoting students' explorations and multiple possible solutions, as it also relies on how teachers organize content, tasks, and resources to facilitate students' activity involving local context as a bridge between the student's life and real world context. And in the third dimension, digital technologies provide the tools in which teachers implement hybrid learning scenarios to enhance flexible learning. And the last dimensions, last but not least, the assessment model captures the way teachers monitor students' activities based on the learning objective. And well, that's our propose activities on how to develop STEAM in hybrid learning scenarios. And well, so based on those dimensions, we also propose the STEAM learning development phases that you can see as a pyramid. By following the phases that are illustrated on the pyramid, so we hope that it will be easier for teachers to follow the idea of implementing STEAM in hybrid scenarios. For instance, let's start from the first one, determining a problem to be explored related to a contextual and authentic problem by integrating local context will be the focus, and then continue by defining guiding questions followed by criteria of success and also following by constraint and then continuing by determining learning objective related to the topic relevancies and the scale of integrations, and also continue by learning environment. It is important to also consider the methods, the assessment, learning context, and also digital technologies that are going to be utilized in the lessons. And the important thing also focusing on the long-term understanding of STEAM skill. Why? Because increasing the awareness of the benefit of STEAM skill in student life is also the focus of STEAM lesson. And because previously I've mentioned about a skill integration. So let's discuss briefly about discipline integrations. So let's continue to this. Discipline integration is the way in which teachers incorporate STEAM discipline and their level of integration. So the discipline integrations also emphasize collaboration among teachers from different subjects. To sum up, based on the illustrations, we can see that teachers can choose which integration is needed to be used in their classroom context, whether multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, or interdisciplinary more than 2 disciplines, or maybe the ideal one is transdisciplinary approach. But I need to underline that there are no correct or incorrect types in of the integrations, because the difference between them is their level of integration. So the most ideal is the transdisciplinary approach. And let's continue, because previously I have also mentioned about engineering design process. So the EDP, engineering design process EDP, emphasizes systematic problem solving and using open-ended ways to design solutions, and aims to encourage students' critical and creative thinking through problem solving activities. In EDP, students explore through trial and error activities, which aims to facilitate students to do research, to conduct research. And EDP is significant in developing students' thinking and problem solving because it includes research activity, like I've mentioned previously, and investigation activities that begin with identifying open-ended problems, start with problem and finish with an ideal solutions of the proposed that proposed by students. So that's the interesting thing of EDP. And let's move on to the last part of my presentations, how we help teachers in implementing STEAM in school, especially how to deal with hybrid scenarios. So this is also important to share, I guess. So let's take a look at this. Let's move on to this. Actually, we are working on a pilot project with Indonesian teachers to bring the idea of collaboration and cooperation. So, starting from the very beginning of our project, we work with teachers. So we develop the STEAM in hybrid scenarios with teachers from the beginning of the project, and then conduct online workshops. The workshops aim to support teachers in developing STEAM lesson in hybrid scenarios and also to get their feedback. That's also the important part of our research activity, to get the feedback from the teachers. And then we also have classroom implementations previously. The picture you may look at on your screen. The picture illustrates an integrated STEAM lesson in hybrid scenarios and incorporates the engineering design process inside. This is part of CIMEO Regional Center of KIDAP in Mathematics, a teacher training institutions that I've worked in Indonesia, that was already conducted in 2021. So based on the classroom implementations, we also wrote 3 books. The books were written to help teachers understand engineering design process activities and also integrated STEM lesson. They are free to access. This is the link. I will share the link later, or you may just take a note of the links. My colleagues and I developed this book from research-based classroom practices. And if you are interested, again, you may see the link there, and here is the link if you are interested in trying to implement integrated STEAM with engineering design process. And also we provided learning scenario, students worksheet, and the assessment guide. Even the hypothetical learning trajectories are also provided, including the prediction of student responses, teachers' anticipated responses. And we found this part are really important, by the way. So in order to help teachers be more well prepared before implementing the lessons. So I will show you briefly, because we are running out the time. We still have 4 minutes left. So this is the table of content. So you may take a look at, there is an explanation about integrated STEM there, the lesson plan, the student worksheet, and also the hypothetical learning trajectories to help teachers to imagine what might happen in the classroom. And also we provide the lesson, including how to deal with online participants in case teachers are going to implement in online learning, or maybe develop hybrid scenarios of these activities. And yeah, well, to conclude my presentations, I would like to pose the questions for you, teachers. please answer these questions not now, but by yourself as your own reflections. If you are interested to our research project, our research activities, please don't be hesitate to contact me through email. So that's my email. And thank you very much and good afternoon. I'll give the screen back to Takumi. Takumi, the screen is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tita. Tita, you have a question, so I will ask you instead of him. First question, there are two questions. First question is what is the difference between STEM and STEAM? And then and the second one is that you presented the differentiation between the multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and the transdisciplinary approaches. And then is it really hierarchical developmental approaches, or it can be horizontal integration of the three approaches? So could you answer of these questions?
Now? Is that okay?
Yeah,
do we have time? Okay.
Yeah, we have time
okay.
now.
Thank you very much for the questions, Arató, I guess, or how to call you? I'm so sorry. So, thank you very much for the questions. That's interesting, but also challenging. So I'll try to answer from the first questions. What is the differences between STEM and STEAM? So it depends on the references or literature that we refer as actually. So based on my work, my point of view, STEAM is utilizing art as an entryway to make STEM actually being closer to students. Let's say in our research activities, we are working with art. We are working with local contexts in Indonesia to be the part of the art, and also to support the STEM learning, to support the students in order to being more aware about STEM literacy. So simply to say, I will say that it depends on the context and also the references that you use. But in our case, STEAM is we are utilizing art as an entryway to to help students being more close to the STEM by utilizing art as the contextual problems. That's in our opinion. So that's the answer from the first questions. And for the second questions, it is related to differentiation. Okay, so it's hard to answer no, because we are still working on it, but based on our point of view, it's kind of still hierarchical structure. So it's kind of different level of integration. So let's say multidisciplinary learning is in the low level of integrations, and the transdisciplinary learning is the highest level of integration. So that's our opinion. So hopefully I could answer your questions. Thank you, Takumi.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think some of the participants, some of the participants, STEAM education might be new for you. So yeah, moving out from so doing something new requires you to going out from your comfort zone. So it might be related to your well-being. So it's also important for well-being of teachers. Yeah, actually, yeah, learning new things is actually fun and interesting, should be. And then next presenter will introduce about it. And next presenter is the Wanda O'Reilly, aka Valtteri Lahti. She is an educator and performer, and co-founder and COO of Psyon games in Finland. She will present their games and education. Valtteri, floor is now yours.
Thank you so much, Takumi. Can you hear me and see my presentation clear?
Yes, yes.
Fantastic. So, okay, thank you for the introduction, and also thank you for the organizers for thinking so well for the structure of this webinar, because there have been many important topics that might be more familiar for the teachers in the beginning, and moving on to STEAM education, where the arts and creativity step to the side of those technical subjects. We will now take even a deeper dive in the creative part of learning and some of the most creative tools available today. Just like shortly to introduce the agenda, what I will be talking about. So I will shortly introduce myself and my background, in addition to what Takumi already presented, just so you know that what is my point of view and angle to these day's topics. Then we will be talking about these applied games, which is the main content of this presentation, and how to best use those for educational purposes. Then I will present a couple of examples, a couple of our own productions, and how they have worked and what we have learned from them. The first one is called Full ADHD, which is an ADHD themed game for adults to build ADHD awareness in the society, to learn about what ADHD is like, and what the experience of having ADHD is like, and how that impacts your everyday life. And it also kind of guides the players to self-observe whether they are experiencing some of these symptoms. And the second game I will be presenting is called Antidote COVID-19, which is a tower defense game where you control the immune system of the human body to defend against attacking bacteria and viruses, especially COVID-19, and develop vaccines to build your immune system. So that is a game that we built for, obviously, pandemic and vaccine awareness. And then we have conducted some research about the applicability and benefits of these games in educational context. And I will be sharing some of those early results that we have gathered this summer. So yes, this is me. I'm Wanda O'Reilly, so creative science communicator, as I like to call myself. And basically, it means I like to pursue all the different types of creativity to carry out the point of making something educational content interesting. And I mainly pursue this on two frontiers, as a performer and educator as Wanda O'Reilly, and also as the COO and co-founder of our games company, Psyon Games. And today I will be mostly focusing on the stuff that is related to the Psyon Games side, but I must say that as you might see, having this kind of gender fluid identity in work life and bringing that out is not something that is the most common thing, and it's very much related to what Jukka Sinnemäki presented about finding yourself. So I very much resonated with everything you presented, Jukka. Thank you so much. But very shortly about our company, Psyon Games. So we are Finland's leading applied game studio. Basically, I can base this statement on the fact that we have been awarded many times by different industries, the communications industry, the game industry, the pharmaceutical industry, who are all finding very innovative, like our approach, very innovative, and bringing new value to like cross-industry collaborations, or also in this educational context. And what we do, we fuse science and games. So we try to make a real-life phenomenon that you can study through science very easily understandable through well-working and well-tested game mechanics. We have partnered with public health organizations like the World Health Organization, UNICEF Finland, Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, and many pharmaceutical companies, as well as also top universities with which we have conducted research, including University of Jyväskylä, University of Tampere, and the University of Southern California. So if we dive into the topic of the day, I have many slides, so I tried to squeeze this into the 20 minutes that I have, but I will focus on the crux of the matter so everybody understands that what we are talking about. So what are applied games? An applied game is a game that has a purpose beyond pure entertainment. So basically you can apply playing the game for some other purpose. And this is not perhaps a very new idea in the games industry, but having well-working applied games is something that is still being researched and tried and failed over and over again. So making good educational games, for example, it has been a challenge for years. And if we try to understand where applied games are in terms of application and gaming, I have drawn this line from pure applications, which are basically digital tools for any use purpose, to pure entertainment games, which are defined as a structured form of play for entertainment purposes. And if we start adding some gamification to an application, moving from the left to the right, we can talk about gamified apps. So basically, you can add these game features like points and scoring and better engagement increasing and flow increasing elements into any application, which makes it feel more fluent, and that you don't have to be so focused in what you are doing, but it kind of carries you through itself. And yeah, this is what we call gamified apps. But the crucial difference between a gamified app and an applied game is that the applied game is a game first. So you design a well-working game for some applicable context. So basically, if we talk about the early development of educational games and what was difficult there, it was often that it was about trying to make a game out of a textbook, basically giving no, limiting a lot of the creativity that you could have in good game design, and only focusing on the educational goals and making it very structured and very rigid, that you don't have that kind of creativity as a designer. And the kind of reverse approach to that is to make good games with good mechanics that have been tested and know that basically people like them, and then integrating that to some kind of context where you can actually learn useful things about everyday life or some educational topic simply by engaging to the play. So that's the crucial difference. And if we really fast just kind of see about what are the best educational use cases and these kind of misunderstandings where you might be trying to apply games but they don't work so well, it's good to kind of make this dissection. So in our experience, games are best used for sparking curiosity, engaging people or students to a new topic. Informal learning, so basically not limiting yourself to some kind of curriculum where you have to learn specific things in a specific order, in a specific way, but you are rather able to explore yourself and absorb information from different sources and basically do whatever you want with the information that you gather. This kind of informal learning is where games are at their best. So it's non-structured and it's voluntary. So I often say that kids have this tendency to, or ability to smell when you are trying to teach them, and that may kind of cause this counter reaction. So the idea is to kind of make the experience so fluent that you know kind of can do whatever you want with the information that you encounter. And this works in support of formal learning, and it is best used for generating memorable mental images. So, for example, if we compare to some classic animations from the 90s that I've grown up with, this Once Upon a Time life, basically that introduced the human immune system for kids in a cartoony way. And even when going to like high school and upper secondary school and then to the university, these mental images of some of the interactions in the human body have stayed with me because that made such a big impression to me as a child. So this is exactly what Tita was talking about, how the arts make the STEM content more easily to access and easy to understand and to apply. So as counter to everything I just presented, it's better not to design an educational game for formal learning purposes, or you can do that, but it's extremely difficult to make that a good game. And the intention should not be replacing other learning materials, but to support those that are already used. And if you go expecting for specific results, that's a kind of a formal goal for learning. So it's better just to allow the freedom of being and interacting freely with the learning content and see what the students make out of it. And if we shortly just summarize these design principles, I would say that an applied game that fails as a game is a complete failure, because as I said in the beginning, the idea is to make good games, and if nobody wants to play the game, even if you have managed to fit the whole curriculum of high school maths into one game, if it's not enjoyable to play, it doesn't serve its purpose. So that's why always have to go these games first. And the way we try to approach this at Psyon games is that we integrate these applicable purposes to well-tested mechanics, as I probably already stated. And this is why the applicability becomes native to the design. I will shortly go into these examples where you get a more concrete idea of what this means. But before we go into that, I have one infographic that I would like to present step by step to kind of give you a peek into the design principles that we have for applied gaming. So this is what we call a gamified learning loop. Basically, in all games, you repeat this kind of a cycle, where you first face a challenge, and you are challenged to do something in the game, to improve your skills, to get over a level or defeat an enemy or whatever. And in all games, you have these tutorials that teach you step by step what you need to do in order to kind of conquer your challenge. And once you have gone through the tutorial, you are allowed to play, basically apply the knowledge that you have just gathered. And once you succeed, there is a reward and you gain some new features, and the game cycle kind of goes on. You face a new challenge, and then you apply what you have learned earlier, and then you get the reward. So it's a kind of a put into enough small circles, or like doing this in small enough steps. This is what supports the flow experience in gaming. So basically your skills always are in balance with the challenge that you face, so that you are not falling into boredom, or you are not going like into anxiety, or anxiety because you feel like you are not succeeding, but the game actually adjusts to your skill level, so that the learning experience at the flow stays the best. And this is what we use, that we basically, when we put this information that the people face in our games is somehow relevant to real life or educational topics, then when you learn that information through this gamified learning loop, it changes your understanding, it can change attitudes, and that can even lead to behavior change. For example, this was our goal with making a game about vaccines, teaching people how vaccines work, what actually happens in the human immune system, reducing any fears and misconceptions that are related to vaccines, and then encourage to actually take the vaccine to prevent the pandemic. So the key elements here are that, like I said, the games are adaptive, so they adjust to the player's skill level, and that way they are engaging, and you get a lot of repetition so that you can learn in any pace you want. And they are interactive, so they are measurable and optimizable. If we find out that one level is too hard for players to defeat, we can adjust it and then guarantee the flow experience in the future. And here are now a couple of examples. So Full ADHD, the ADHD game to spread awareness about how ADHD feels like, and how you can seek help if you suspect that you yourself have ADHD. It's a visual novel, so basically a kind of a digital comic book, if you will. So you have characters going from frame to frame, interacting with each other. You control the main character and choose what they say and what they do. And you are presented with multiple options of what you can do. But not only can you choose what you will say or do in different situations, but what you can say and do is also limited by this resource system that we developed for the game, that is based on Brown's model on human executive function. So basically, it's a kind of cognitive resource which is impaired in case of ADHD. You have trouble organizing your daily life, controlling your emotions, remembering things, sustaining effort, and monitoring your actions, for example. And these resources are related to those areas, and then depending on the situation that where you are in the game, you have to spend these resources, and you kind of have to manage your life from the point of view that these resources can run out. You can also gather and gain more of these resources by self-care and these ways that you can take care of your ADHD condition. But the idea is that to kind of illustrate what the ADHD feels like to someone who hasn't got ADHD, you can do it by making this theoretical model of the executive function playable. So here's an example of when our main character Eetu is finding a route, and then he is presented with the option that he can take a shortcut or follow the map, or he can quickly look at the map, or then just kind of proceed. So in the case of taking the shortcut and not giving any further thought to it, it doesn't spend any resources, because that's like impulsive and easy to do action. But to actually take a look at the map, that requires you to control your actions. And to follow the map, it doesn't only require you to monitor your actions, but also to focus on what you can see on the map. So there are a couple of options that you can take here, one of which is obviously the most beneficial for you, but whether you want to spend these resources here, that's the kind of crux of the game. And I will move on to my second example, just to stay on time. So Antidote COVID-19 is a game about the human immune system and developing vaccines. And this is a couple of screenshots that I have from the game. It would be easier to demonstrate it through a trailer, but I think it's safer to go with this screen flow here, because the trailer might not come a full experience when integrated into a presentation like this. But basically, in Antidote, you are a researcher in this kind of modern laboratory where you study samples with a microscope. And the game itself, just like our ADHD game as well. It has a menu where you have a kind of encyclopedia where you have integrated information and information articles about the things that you learn in the game, that you can dive deeper into that topic if you wish. But the main idea is to engage with it in the gameplay. And the main gameplay happens on the surface of the microscope, where you study these samples. And the levels look like this. There's a stem cell that you are meant to protect by building a maze of different kind of immune system cells and upgrading them into better ones. And then you will have an outbreak of pathogens. There are toxins, bacteria, viruses that will try to invade and infect the stem cell. And whether you are able to defend it, it depends on whether you place your strategic cellular defense in the right way. And here are some examples of when the COVID-19 enters the system and then infects some of your cells. But there's a lot of text here, and no need to go into that detail right now. The game has also inbuilt comics, so basically trying to convey what is happening, how the coronavirus works, why it is dangerous, and how you can prevent the pandemic by taking measures yourself, and basically increasing this microbiology level of understanding of these events and why how those relate to the macro world behaviors that we take, wearing masks, washing your hands, and so on, and making that very, very clear through the gameplay. And as said, the main goal of the game is to develop these vaccines. So as you defeat these bacterial and viral enemies, you will gather research points that allow you to develop new vaccines that will make your defenses stronger and allow you to defeat more difficult levels. And we have now conducted some early research about this antidote COVID-19 with the Tampere University. And here's what we have found so far. So here's the research design. Basically, we had a gaming group and a control group who studied the same topics as the game presents, but through traditional learning material, basically pictures and text and infographics. And what the study focused on, there was a pre-test and a post-test after the activity, and the activity was either to play the game or for the other group to learn with the text-based material. And in the pre-test, we measured their curiosity and situational interest towards this topic. And in the post-test, we measured the same curiosity and situational interest to see whether that increased or decreased with the activity, and also satisfaction for the activity, and then epistemic emotions, which are the kind of emotions that predict good learning results. And just to go this through, in a kind of a, I have to go pretty fast to stay on time. But on a scale from 1 to 7, we observed a great difference for the how these activities were experienced. And for example, in the satisfaction here, the mean is the circle here, and the confidence interval is marked with blue, and we can see that they don't even overlap. So we consider that significant effect. And the same was also for the situational interest. So for the gaming group, it was clearly higher. Then when it came to positive epistemic emotions, here's a kind of a summary graph of all those that we measured. So there was epistemic emotions like being surprised, being curious, being excited about the topic. And for this, we were able to observe a large effect. And then on a reverse scale, we measured boredom, which is a kind of passivating epistemic emotion passive negative epistemic emotion. So here we saw that the gaming group felt much less boredom than the traditional materials group. Obviously, I know that the traditional materials, when we talk about them, it's a kind of a dull way that the students will only by themselves or alone study the text and the like pictures. So I know that there are much more innovative ways in what could be called traditional teaching as well today. But this was just to kind of illustrate how the game is experienced compared to this kind of basic, most typical type of learning method. And then we also measured the flow experience of the students, and the average flow experience on the scale from 1 to 7 was actually 5.5, which is clearly above the overall short scale mean, which is 4.7, attained with various activities. So that was also very, very promising result on its own. So yeah, this kind of is to highlight that this is where we believe that the games are most effective in educational purposes, as I said, like sparking curiosity, sparking these epistemic emotions, and basically kind of sustaining the flow through the learning experience to support the other learning materials that can be used. So yeah, this study was began in last spring, and there's already one conference paper made out of it. You can get that through me if you want my contact information, and I can send you the article. And we are also gathering now a little bit more data so that the groups are well balanced, a little bit more control material, so we can make a more thorough study of these same observations, and there will be a larger article later in the autumn coming out of this subject if you're interested. But now I thank you for your time, and this was my presentation. And there's also my contact details. So it's valtteri.lahti@sciengames.com, and there's also my phone number if you want to get in contact more directly.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it's quite eye-opening, and also the applied games are quite innovative and a cutting edge field. And then now we understand what the applied games are clearly. And there is one question. So the games are free to download, or we should buy the games?
Very, very good. I forgot to even mention, because this is such a usual thing for me. So these are mobile games for Android and iOS, and they are free to download from the store on App Store or Play Store on Google. And there's only one thing. So the ADHD game is only available in Finland and in Finnish at the moment, but we are looking to scale that into Europe and Canada area during the coming year. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that sounds interesting and exciting. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so next presenter, Arató, Ferenc, Dr. Ferenc Arató. He's our senior researcher at the Institute of Educational Sciences and the lecturer at the Department of Theory and Practice of the Education, University of Pécs, Hungary. He will present the happiness of teachers. Yeah, Ferenc, now you have the floor.
Yes, thanks a lot. I hope you can hear me. So I have a challenge here because I will present you a book which I wrote in Hungarian. So I have a challenge here, but I try to do my best. So what is the difference between my topic and the topic of well-being of the teacher? My topic is not about the general well-being of the teacher. It's about, sorry, I will go back. It's about such kind of secrets which can help you to be happy as a teacher, not as a teaching person, but as a teacher. So the title is very simple, a little bit, sorry, a little bit long. Happy teacher secrets, routines for effective teaching that you need to know if you want to live a happy and meaningful life as a teacher. How to develop essential and meaningful learning in any offline or online class in any age group immediately. That's the title. And I have a question for you, because the organizers of the webinar asked me to make the presentation more interactive. So maybe I will be the presenter who tried this one. So what do you think? Can everyone really become a happy teacher? What do you think? Please write your simple answer, yes or no, into the Q&A or into the chat. I am very interested in your answers. What do you think? Can everyone really become a happy teacher? What's your opinion? And I will ask help from Chilla. If yes, all right, there is no, that's good. Yes, I like this. Okay, some more answers. No, yes, but it is not easy. Yes, I like that answer too. No, I don't think. I don't, what does it mean? Okay, not American, can become teacher. That's good. Okay, thank you. I don't think so. Okay, it's a little bit balanced. There are some huge fan of everyone really can be a happy teacher. Okay, and I have Hungarian answers, which is a yes. That's good. Thank you, Melinda. Okay. So what is my answer to this question? Of course, my answer is very simple, because I answer and I reassure you that the answer is, of course, yes. Because in my understanding, being a happy teacher is nothing more than following specific daily routines. And these are not the routines what the positive psychology gathered together, like Salinger or Lutyens or the other authors. These are the routines what you can apply in your everyday practice in the classroom. So I think my team is absolutely complete the topic what we have seen presented in this webinar. Can you follow my Hunglish? Just note me if, can you? Okay, thanks. Okay, so I should tell you that I remember 30 years ago, I didn't want to be a teacher at all. But in that time, in our country, if you want to learn literature, philosophy, aesthetics, you should go to be a teacher. So that was the only way. There was no any other options, because the socialist state wants to grow up many teachers. So I started as a literature and aesthetics teacher. And I skipped all of my pedagogical classes, of course, because I didn't want to be a teacher. But when I had the task to do my teaching practice, something happened. As I mentioned, I didn't want to be a teacher, but I had to visit my mentor teacher's class. And I decided that I didn't want to do the same, because I didn't see any meaning of what they were doing. I will not explain you what they were doing then. And I decided that I will ask questions first from the kids. As a literature teacher, my task was to present a famous Hungarian poem to the 6th graders. And I was wondering that how they could analyze or interpret a poem when in their age, if they do not know anything about the context. And maybe I should step back, and maybe I should start on a very basic level, which is not so basic, because I started to collect questions from the philosophy of language. Simple questions like from how we learn the meaning of the word of desk or table. This question came from Wittgenstein, one of the famous philosophers. So I spent my all night with listing these kind of questions. And I started my class that, okay, we will speak about the poem, the famous poem of a Hungarian writer, poet. And before that, I would like to ask some questions from, I would like to put some questions to you. The first question was this, from how we learn the meaning of a word, a simple word like desk or table. And it was very interesting because after 10 minutes, all the class was standing, everybody was arguing, they were debating, they were the learners in the back of the classroom were standing on the chairs because they want to participate in the debate. Even my mentor teacher was standing on a chair because she couldn't see anything because everybody was standing. And my only task was to deliver ordering numbers. You will be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1 starts, then second. And during the whole class, my only task was to organize the order of the speakers. And it was interesting because they didn't want to stop the class. We continued the debate during the break, and then after they needed to go to the other class. And it was like an epiphany moment in my life because when the debate was there, my ears were ringing, my hair in my back was stood up, and I feel that, oh, it's amazing. I am discussing high philosophical question with 12 years old students. That's the reason why I went to the university. Maybe there is something in this teaching. And of course, you can imagine that I thought that, okay, I'm a teacher genius because I skipped all of my teacher classes at the university. And at my very first class, I could make everyone think on a higher level, on a philosophical level of thinking. But on the very next day, I realized that it is not true. I did the same thing. I put a lot of questions together and started the second class with the questions. But after 10 minutes, the kids were telling me that, hey, it's so boring. Let's do what we did previous day. But of course, we couldn't replay that. And it was a mess. It was a failure. So I realized that I'm not neither a genius nor a teacher, nor a prepared teacher, because I didn't understand why it is not working. What worked on the first day, why it is not working on the second. So I realized that I'm not a genius and not a teacher, but I learned 3 lessons from that experience. The first lesson was that I was lucky because I experienced that every child is capable of essential learning. Because I experienced that all of the class members were standing, even the kids who were not who were not present in this literature class for years when my mentor teachers taught them. So for me, it was an experience of having all the child in an essential learning flow. The second lesson, what I learned here was that anyone can foster essential learning. Even I could foster essential learning. Of course, I don't know how and why, but I was able. So maybe anyone can foster essential learning. And the third lesson of mine was that all it is possible immediately, because there was no special preparation for my first class from the class members. It was an immediate res start of thinking on higher level of philosophy. So these 3 experiences, I would say, determined my life since then during these 3 decades. So I created 3 leading questions for my understanding, because I realized that I do not know anything. So I need to read, I need to try out everything. And okay, I skipped the classes, but no, I have to learn a lot. So my leading questions were the next. How can anyone facilitate essential lifelong learning for all of his or her students? What are the most important routines? What will anyone able to create essential and meaningful teaching? And how it is possible to immediately begin practicing meaningful teaching in any student community? So these were the three questions, the three leading questions of mine. And since then, during this 30 years, I worked with more than 6,000 teachers, but not in pre-service teacher training or webinars or things like this, but in their classroom. I was a consultant in school development and practice improvement programs, and literally, I was working with more than 6,000 teachers in their everyday classroom. Hundreds of these teachers became, in my eyes, the happy teachers who were able to raise the level of motivation, achievement, and meaningful lessons in each of their learners in any classrooms. So they became, for me, the happy teachers who can create motivated and meaningful learners from their students. That's the key concept came from. So I decided to write down those kind of routines, what these hundreds of happy teachers has in common. So I wrote a book, and this is the book I'm presenting here. And a book has 3 pillars. The 3 pillars are based on different things. The first pillar is about facts. How to regain your, faith in your learners. I presenting facts which help you understand that there is an opportunity to raise the level of understanding and motivation in any learners. The second pillar of the book is about abilities, and it helps you to regain the faith in yourself. And I'm very happy that we touched this topic during the presentation, because I think that's a very important part of being a happy teacher in your everyday classroom practice. The third pillar is based on practice, how to regain your faith in the graspable momentum in the present. Okay, maybe in a project it is very interesting, but how can I be present, and how can I make my learners present every day after each other? So these are the 3 pillars of the book. And if I have the opportunity to make some interactions, you can choose, because I have a very limited time, you can choose one of the pillars you would like to hear more. Just put in the chat which one are you interested in more. Okay, anyone can choose 2, 3rd. Okay, abilities. Okay, I guess abilities is the winner, but I will touch the 3rd one in that too. Okay, so I will skip maybe the first one. I have created a framework for understanding what do you need, what I learned from my experiences and from the experiences of hundreds of successful teachers. And I put together this framework, 5 essential teaching skills that can be easily developed and needed in anyone practice to help all your students to learn effectively and meaningfully. And there are 5 points. You can choose again. Which one would you like to know better? I can give you an example, any of the points. Ability to be present, conscious framing and reframing, nonviolent communication, 4-dimensional assessment, and consciously structured learning processes. Which one do you prefer? Okay. Yeah. 4 dimensions and Okay, they are the winners. Okay, for dimensional assessment is very easy. Maybe if you are experienced in assessment literature and practice, you know that in the international literature, all the practitioners and researchers are speaking about 3 dimensions. The first dimension is assessment of learning. It's about what we are learning. The second dimension is assessment for learning. When you are giving formative assessment, it's about how we learn. Okay, so it is about the how know-how of the learning. When you are give assessment or feedback on the how of learning, that's the dimension of the second dimension of assessment. The third dimension is assessment as learning. This is the metacognitive assessment. That's the reason why they call it assessment as learning. While you are assessing a learning process in a metacognitive level, it is itself a learning process. And the first dimension, of course, connected with this, the fifth essential teaching skills, is about assessment by learning. The way how you structure the learning environment, the way how you structure the learning process is a kind of assessment. If you organize the learning environment in a way where you are standing in the middle and the kids are sitting in front of you as a silent mass, that's a message, that's an assessment. You assess the teacher, of course, yourself, and you assess the kids as well. You're assessing them as a silent mass. If you are creating a different environment, you can assess them in another way. The main question of this fourth dimension is that for whom we are learning, for the teacher, for the grades, or for ourselves, to create our own path in our learning situation. Of course, schooling is compulsory, so I need to do something with that in my life. What Jukka mentioned, that these are not learners, these are human beings who are sitting in our classroom. And a lot of people choose the fifth one, consciously structured learning process. It means that what is the biggest recovery of my life, it was 25 years ago when I realized that you can influence, and maybe I will go further because I have another framework for this fifth one. You can structure, so the way how you structure the learning process, it will affect the engagement, the achievement, and a lot of things. So I started to collect, mainly based on the cooperative learning practice and literature, 8 different structural learning principles. The first and very important principle, maybe I have a minute for that, is the multiplication of space and time. As I'm speaking here, we have not a multiplied space and time. You should listen to me. Maybe parallelly you can write something in the chat, but there is a lot of empty space and empty time. If you make parallel interactions within your classroom, then you will have multiple places, multiple spaces when anyone can enter by his or her or they whole personality into the learning process. If you, for example, if you are creating pairs from a class of 30 learners, then you will have in a 45 minutes class, then all kids could have full 15 minutes where they can articulate their things, and they will have full 15 minutes when they have to provide attention to their pairs. If you let them stay in 30 and you would like to ask everyone, then all people could have only 1.5 minutes. Do you understand me? So this is the first step, multiplication of space and time. And these 8 structural learning principles, of course, enforcing each other and build on each other, but I have no more time, I guess. So I made other framework for the 5th skills. If you can use these principles, these structural learning principles, then you can create immediate change in your immediate shift in your classroom. And it is interesting because it is like the magic of the genie, because maybe this immediate change will not a situation what you would like, but it will be a change in which you can grow to the change situation. So maybe you remember the story that you ask something to the gene unintendedly, and you were surprised when you get it. And by using these structural learning principles, you will be in the same situation. Maybe you will not realize in the very first place that something has changed. You have to grow up to this situation and understand how you could multiply the space and time for every of your kids. I guess my time is over. Thank you for your attention. If you have any more questions, I can answer you in the question session, which is after the next presentation, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ferenc. Okay, so you mentioned about the framework, very important. Yeah, thank you very much. So let's move on to the next and also last presenter, Metis Kadri. She's a junior research fellow at the School of Digital Technologies, Cluj University. She will present a teacher fighting against the COVID. So Kadri, now the floor is yours.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm trying to share my screen. Let's see if you can also see what I see. So okay, Wanda is giving me a thumbs up. So first of all, hi everyone, my name is Kadri Metis, as it was already introduced, but I want to really thank all the previous presenters, because as a researcher and as a teacher, I felt really many connection points and places that relates to me and my work and whatever experiences I have. Okay, somebody has already written something in the chat. Okay, that was not for me. Okay, but I'm going to talk about my personal experience as a teacher during the COVID times, and also I'm trying to, maybe filter out the things that somehow helped me to keep my sanity, how to not maybe burn out, and how to, not to go crazy during all these crazy times. And let's see. Yes. So this is me on my good days. And as it was already told, I'm a junior researcher in Tallinn University, and my topic is related to mobile outdoor learning. So basically, I'm studying the location-based games that direct you into specific locations, and then some kind of a task pops up, and you need to do something in that location. So I'm trying to find out how to actually develop these kinds of games so that it would actually help students to learn, and also teachers while teaching during these activities. But besides that, during my PhD years, I have also been chemistry teacher for 8th to 12th grade, and also biology teacher in 10th to 12th grade. And currently, I'm not working as a teacher anymore, but during the COVID years, I was. So that's why I'm talking here about my experience. So starting from the first year, so in the first year, I was working as a biology teacher in one private how to say, upper secondary school in Estonia. And what happened during the first COVID was that, well, everyone was so much overworking, and well, the teachers felt that they need to work a lot, so they created all kinds of tasks and materials, and they actually didn't communicate with each other. So as an end result, the students were also overloaded with the work, because all the teachers were giving the maximum time for their assignments, and we didn't actually cooperate or think through that how much is the workload for the students. And this was actually a quite huge problem that came up. But also, while doing all this, going from face-to-face learning to online learning, well, we had to change all the materials that we had. We had to change the methods that we were using. We had to change the technology that we were using. We had to learn so much new with so little time. And what helped for me, for example, to cope with it was that luckily our school already had this study system, which is called e-school, which is giving us the possibility to give assignments to students, also to see what kinds of assignments students already have from other classes, to communicate with students and also with parents. And this quite well helped to keep the communication going and to give instructions to students that where are we going to meet and when and what are the assignments and however it's going. So we had that already for many, many years. So all the schools had this system, and I think this was a really good place where to start. And also our school had invested into online books already before this COVID time. So this investment definitely paid off. So we already had online materials, some tasks to give the students. And because of that, we didn't have to start completely from zero. And this cognitive book system already had this kind of like learning analytics system also. So you got feedback from the students that how they were doing, and it helped to make it more convenient and less work for teachers. And what also helped is that the management already saw this lockdown coming, and they made steps previously before the actual lockdown, the first isolation wave happened. We already agreed that all the assignments have to be entered into e-school, that we all use the same cognitive system, just to avoid that every teacher would use different kind of system, which would cause like huge distraction. So in that sense, I think the management was in our school very well thought through that how they will actually tackle this situation. And they made steps previously, and this actually helped the teachers a lot because we had less confusion. We knew what we had to do when the situation came. And what else was very helpful exactly for me is that the management took into account every teacher's personal needs. So if you needed any devices, you got them. So if you needed tablets or microphones or cameras, you got all the things that you needed. The thing with the, what other thing was that the schedule, that we didn't actually have to follow the timetable that was previously made in the schools. So it was, so for example, I have two small kids. They were 1 and 3 year olds in the first wave. And basically it was impossible for me to work so at home during the daytime. So I talked to my principal about this issue, and then she said that do the lessons whenever you can. So I did my lessons at 7 p.m. in the evening, for example, and it was completely okay. So in that sense, this helped me to take off the pressure, and it helped me a lot, I have to say. Yeah. The second COVID year, I was in another school, so I had to quit the first one where I was, and then I applied to another school, and the second year was in a new school, and there I was teaching chemistry. And well, but I have to say that what happens during the second year was that the immense workload still continued. You still felt that you need to upgrade and change all the methods and the materials that you were using. And all kinds of solutions were used, because we had this situation that sometimes the students were in isolation, but the teacher was at work. So basically you were in Zoom and the students were at home, or it might happen that you were in isolation and the students were at school. So you were teaching from home at the same time the students were in the class. Or it was hybrid, so that some of the students were at home and you were in the classroom. So we used all the possibilities that there were, basically. And just to cope with all these situations, that you cannot just agree with only one type of solution, you always had to change. So this was actually quite stressful. So you always had to have like not only second plan B, but you have to have plan C and plan D for all kinds of possibilities, and all the time the situation was changing. So it was stressful, definitely. But again, these already existing materials helped quite a lot us to cope. And what were the best practices that helped the teachers was definitely all the different kinds of social media groups and chats with colleagues and things like that, where you can actually communicate and share your materials, your experiences, and at the same time you get some feedback and you get to discuss how you're doing, but at the same time you could also get some materials that you might need at that time. But what else was good during this time was that definitely the change, what happened with the students, that the students now had the responsibility to decide how they learn and when they learn. And well, of course, it was a positive for many students, but also there was this, I would say, many students got lost because they couldn't regulate themselves and they were thinking that, oh yeah, I don't have to do anything. So, or it is too difficult, I cannot learn on my own. And they just disappeared. And it was actually quite difficult time for many students. And we're still working with that. It has like a huge how to say, after effect right now, which is coming from students' mental, how to say, situation. So we have very many students who are depressed and so on. So for many, it worked well, that this freedom to decide, but for many, it was too much, and they needed this support that they had from the school. And we are still starting to see what it brings with the situation, with the COVID. But what else we had to do is, from the teacher's perspective, is that we had to learn the new ways to teach. And we had to learn also how to reduce the workload for ourselves, but also for the students. So at some point, we as colleagues, we understood that we cannot just make separate assignments, that we need to integrate now. And then we came up also with these projects and STEAM kinds of basically this STEAM kind of projects and practical tasks, which are including or integrating many subjects, and the student is working on one task, but actually they cover many different subjects during that task. So it actually helps to cut back the workload. It also helps students to make different connections between different subjects, and at the same time also it reduces workload for everyone. So I was very happy about this, that the teachers started to see that we need to integrate. Well, it is actually a very big topic in Estonia that we have to integrate, but it was very difficult to motivate teachers to actually integrate and make these kinds of integrated learning scenarios. But this situation, the COVID, actually pushed us more towards understanding that this is necessary and how to do it. And also, and already I mentioned the support. So a lot of support came from the Facebook group. So we had this Facebook group for Estonian teachers, which was about educational technology. And in there, help was shared, experiences were shared. So everything, it was possible to ask help from there. And it was really useful especially on the first year of the COVID. Calls from co-workers helped also. So I imagine that when a teacher in a school didn't have anyone to talk to, that they didn't have any teachers that they knew that to talk to, I think it was quite difficult for them. So to have some friends, co-workers to talk about your experiences, maybe that how to do this or how to do that, if you have something to share, this was very helpful. So definitely helped to keep everyone sane. And what else was good, of course, that the meetings that could have just been an email started to be actually emails. So reducing the workloads where you have to just sit in the meetings that could be an email, well, that actually happened. So I'm really glad that that happened. And what else was that that we, for example, personally me, I have many friends who are teachers in different schools, and we have this like friends chat. And when we had these difficult times or whatever emotions, we could just share them honestly, what we were going through. So this is too much. I'm feeling this. Then the other one says, oh, I have the same thing. Yay, going crazy together. Woohoo! So it's kind of like, this support, and it helps to share, and there is someone who understands, and it keeps you going. And the third year, again, I was a chemistry teacher, and what I noticed was that on the third year, basically, well, everyone was so tired, students, teachers, parents, so sick of the COVID. No one wanted to hear anything about it. So the good thing is that, well, nothing shocked anymore. Basically, whatever news came, it was okay, yes, I can handle it. No worries, no problems. So you were also so used to all kinds of different situations. You had the plan A, B, C, D for every situation. So that was not a problem anymore. And also all the different possibilities have been developing. So there are videos in Estonian that you can use for your lessons. So basically a lot of more materials, and also different educational technology apps have been developed during this time that are more and more helpful. So these different tools definitely are helpful and have helped me through the COVID in a sane way. But some takeaways maybe how to keep the sanity as a teacher during these kinds of crises is to definitely to look support from colleagues and social media groups, to talk to your supervisor and students about your situation, so that they would know that you need help or that you don't need to struggle alone, and also to keep track on your workload. So I know that you want to bring the best solution, the best methods, the most interesting, the most positive, whatever, but count your lessons, count your hours. So don't overwork, otherwise you will just burn out. And use already existing materials as much as possible, and automate the feedback wherever possible. There are so many different tools already existing that can help with that. And for the principal who is in charge of the teachers, definitely invest into ebooks and online resources for teachers. Motivate and help teachers who are falling behind, that you know that they're struggling with digital competencies. So help them to find someone or someplace where they can help, or to make the steps to develop their methods. And also keep an eye on the teachers who are making too much or working too much, so to avoid and keep them from burning out. So these are my takeaways. And there's also one question that has popped into my mind. So after all these COVID years, isn't it strange how quickly we have reverted to the old ways? So dropping all the online learning and going back to face-to-face and to old methods. So I would really be interested into hearing what are your experiences and your feelings about this, going back to the old ways, and what are the things that you would like to take with you from the COVID. So thank you, and I hope that you have some questions. There are some in the chat. Okay. Can I see some other questions or answers somewhere? Aha.
Yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, your presentation reminds us of everything happened during the COVID time, and good thing and bad thing, everything. And then at the time we saw the possibility and necessity and challenges of the digital education. So yeah, we need to move forward from that experience, I guess. So Chilla asked you, did we really revert to old ways? What do you think?
Thank you so much. Thank you for all the presenters. Somebody asked me if how much I, as a background person, see this webinar as a good one, and maybe it's not my duty to really say how it went, but it's our attendees' duty. Alpar will come on stage shortly, and we share an evaluation form with you. We would really appreciate your honest feedback on this webinar. I myself, I'm immensely thankful to all our presenters, and I think that all your topics were so great that they would actually deserve a long discussion, not only a short presentation. Now with this webinar format, it's obviously more difficult to make real discussions happen, but I still hope that in different places, on different online or face-to-face forums, we will still have the time and opportunity to meet you to discuss your topics in a more depth than what was allowed in these roughly 20 minutes that you had to present your points and your topics. We got, in fact, to the end of quite a long series of webinars within the FreeEd project. You see the banner behind me for those participants who are present here for the first time. I'm telling you that this was the 5th webinar, and the recording of most of the webinars is accessible on our project website. So I'm sharing my screen to so that you can see how you can access our website. My colleagues are also posting it in the chat. So freeed.eu, and I would like to draw your attention that there are a couple other things, not only this webinar produced during these 2 years, 1.5 years of the FreeEd Erasmus Plus project. One is a very interesting framework where we summarize mostly the hybrid learning experiences in the participating countries. The participating countries are Finland, Romania, Estonia, and Austria. And what I'm really happy to announce is that our training course is now open, and you can register for our free e-learning course. The course runs around a couple of topics that we consider important regarding online and hybrid learning, and you can access the course from this link. All of you are much welcome to join us on this learning journey, or to go with us. So this was the information I wanted to share with you, and I want to thank Takumi Yada and the University of Jyväskylä for hosting this webinar and for organizing it. I really hope to see all of you on other occasions in other projects as well. And I would like to give the floor to Alpar to instruct you about certification processes and the evaluation of the webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cilla, and thank you for all our presenters. It was really great and interesting hearing you talking about different topics on well-being. You were talking about the same thing, but in the same time, it was a diversity of perspectives and views that it was totally amazing. From the behalf of the Harghita County Teacher Training Center, we also thank for your presentations. We posted in the chat a questionnaire for feedback for all the participants and viewers and listeners of this webinar. We would kindly ask all participants to provide feedback on this webinar by filling in this questionnaire by the 26th of October. And we kindly remind you that if you are you wish to receive a certificate recognized by the Ministry of Education from Romania, we can provide you this. But for this, you have to complete the last section of the questionnaire with all your data, your information, name, institution, and email, in order for us to provide you in PDF form the certificate of participations. So you have the link in the chat. I believe, Cilla, that we will send an email for all the participants who registered to this webinar by email that you provided. And we would like you to fill in by the 26th of October. We would like to ask you kindly that as part of this questionnaire, there is a section that is about the framework, the vision book that we developed through the activities of this project. We invite you to the web page of this project that Cilla presented already and showed you on freeed.eu framework section, and there you can see, you can read about our framework, our vision book called the Flexible Framework for Hybrid Lower Secondary Education. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for your presentation. We wish you fruitful and a very positive and successful school year. Thank you very much for the participations, and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. Good night.
Thank you very much. So see you next time online.
Servustok mindenkinek. Goodbye. Thank you.
Goodbye, Jukka.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. See you.
Sziasztok.
See ya.
Yeah. Thank you.
Isten áldjon benneteket.
Sziasztok. Viszlát.
And many thanks to our nice and really efficient interpreters.
Thank you for
Yes, exactly. Everything went well. My two colleagues were checking the two channels. You're doing a brilliant work. Thank you so much.
Köszönjük szépen.
Köszi szépen, hosszú volt, ugye?
Sziasztok, viszlát. Goodbye.
Sziasztok.
Okay, Cilla, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. It all went well.
Yeah, I hope so.
Do you feel tired? I'm sure.
No, it's okay.
Everything was terrific.
Yeah.
You should do it more often. Nice career.
Yeah, we can. We can, or I can. Yeah. So Alvar, you will come to Finland next week?
No,
you're not coming.
The project I'm not in, so yeah, you will. But I wish to have a great meeting.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
will see you soon. Yeah, and then Chilla, see you next week.
Bye.
Yes, see you.
Okay, see you.
Bye. I'll save the recording and you can have a second look, Takumi, on your great moderation.
Okay. Thank you. See you.
Thank you
Bye.
so much. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye.